humility, openness, transparency at all times is such a strength to leadership.
Well, hello and welcome into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Sam Hind, and my passion is how to help you grow the business of your dreams by connecting with your dream customers using social media as a tool, not to replace you, but to enhance you, bring out the best in you, and connect you with the most amazing people to help you grow an incredible team. Now, this industry is one that changes lives every single day. And I often get asked, why, Sam, do you specialize in the direct selling industry? And the answer is, well, twofold. Number one, this industry changed my life. But second of all, I get to see it change lives every day. It helps give people an opportunity that otherwise wouldn't have one. And most importantly, and this is what today's episode's all about, it brings out the skills in us that we otherwise might not ever get access to, such as leadership. Today, I'm going to be talking with an incredible guest and a friend in the industry, John Hobby, who is the General Manager of Nuskin in Pacific and Philippines. And John is going to be talking with me about leadership, specifically how to lead when you don't yet feel like much of a leader, but also how do you create great culture? How do you foster great culture, but also innovation within your teams? And, how do you pull on those things that you don't yet see as skills that you feel you need to have in order to be a great leader? Now, John Hobby has been in this industry since he was a toddler. He will tell the story in the episode, but his family is one that for many years I have been in absolute awe of. He has grown up with direct selling literally in his blood. At 18, he became a distributor. Again, he'll share a little bit more of that story. And then over the years, he built up his skill set enough so that he could also be a leader in this industry, which is absolutely exactly what he is doing today. But John is super passionate about leaders. He is super passionate about empowering people and giving them the opportunity to be the best version of themselves that they can be. I know that if you are sitting there right now thinking, well, I'm not a leader, or I don't know how to be a leader, this is definitely the episode for you. John speaks directly into those people who feel like they don't yet have what it takes, or maybe you've been knocked down a few pegs, you've had some challenges along the way, and you're wondering, how do I be that person that maybe is walking across the stage at the next conference, getting an award or getting a promotion in the business and achieving those goals that I am so desperate to achieve? Well, today's the episode for you. I want you to listen in, grab yourself pen and paper, because John drops a bunch of golden nuggets along the way, as we often do have in this podcast. So get comfy, listen on in, really sit there and ask yourself, what is it that I can do off the back of this episode? What's the one thing I can do that I can implement that's going to help me get to where I want to go? So again, thank you for choosing to tune in today and spending this time with us. I know you're going to love this episode. And so no further ado, we're going to hand over to the interview introducing the amazing John Hobby. Well, welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I am so excited to be here with the amazing John Hobby, GM of Nuskin. Now, let me get this right, Pacific and now Philippines. Is that right?
Correct. Sticking to the P's, Pacific and Philippines.
I love it. Well, it's so great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. John,
Thank you for having me, Sam. It's always great to catch up.
I feel like the last time we caught up, and I just need to bring this up here for a second, you were in a Superman outfit.
I'd forgotten about that, but I will say that's probably one of the lesser incriminating outfits I've had to wear for a work function.
And that is what your amazing wife said too. It was, I think you had the whole family. It was actually really beautiful. We got out of the lift and here is John and his entire family all dressed as superheroes. And I think it was actually a superhero theme, wasn't it, that you were all going to? Because we walked into the lobby and it was just a sea of superheroes
Yeah.
all descending on the world. So
Yeah, that's
Nuskin
it.
changing
That's
the
it.
world. It was awesome.
No, good fun.
I love it. Well, John, I'm so excited to be chatting with you today. And I know that you and I both are just as passionate as one another about seeing not just this industry, but individuals thrive in this amazing industry. But just before we get into the serious stuff,
Yeah.
can you share a fun fact with us, aside from the fact that you are an undercover superhero?
Yeah, undercover superhero. Well, my fun fact would be, so I was a volunteer firefighter for quite some years. So I started that when I was really young.
Yeah.
So the RFS, those in New South Wales would be familiar with it.
Yes.
But I started off as a volunteer firefighter. It was really fun. I started when I was about 15. They gave you a little pager back in the day. And that was
for
like,
the younger people listening to this, a
yeah.
pager is, sorry.
Yeah, well, it was well beyond the years of pages, but that's the system they were still working on.
Yeah.
But that was like my ticket out. Like if I was in school and that pager went off, I could leave. Like it was my, hey, he's doing a good deed, so go for it. So there's lots of really fun memories of.
So a little bit, it is a little bit superhero-ish, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, gotta go, run to the telephone booth, change, and off
Yeah,
you go
yeah.
again. Yeah,
Just
I
in
love that.
fluoro yellow instead of Superman tights. So.
I love it. So, look, John, one of the really interesting things I find about you, we've had your brother Kimball on this podcast before. I think we should probably aspire to get your amazing dad on the podcast.
Yeah.
You guys have got the most fascinating family because you've literally grown up with direct selling in your blood. Do you want to share just a little bit for our listeners about what that looked like for you growing up and what I'm referring to? Because, I would rather you share the story.
Yeah, sure thing. So so my parents had been direct sellers for their whole career essentially. And they'd, through their different experiences, they'd then led them to a point where they then created their own direct selling company. Now, obviously, that's a deep story that I could get into, but the very short version, they started that. I would have been a toddler when that first started.
Yep.
So I remember, not day one because I was a bit too young for that, but all of my earliest memories. I remember being at events, and the one really cool trip I remember as a kid was Disneyland. They took a group to Disneyland. But I actually, beyond that, I more remember, it was very much like as a young kid, I was packaging the product, and I'd do that after school for my pocket money. Like it really was kind of an all hands on deck where you could participate.
Yeah.
But I just love it. I absolutely love the industry. Loved, all of the people you'd meet, the whole principle surrounding direct selling. How we just, it's all about people. The family business, their mission or motto was people first always.
Yes.
So I loved that and loved all that represents. And still, to this day, with Nuskin, it's worded different, but it's definitely a people first principle that we are founded on.
Yeah.
So from working to the garage to going to company events as a kid. And then I actually started, so as a distributor, I was 17, wanting to make a bit of extra money. And it was, my parents just saying, hey, the opportunity's there, you know what to do. So I remember going out, to my school friends' mums, hey, can I do a little party with you? And, you invite
That's
your friends.
amazing.
And, looking back now, I kind of chuckle at some of those experiences, but
Yes.
man, it was amazing. Like such a blessed upbringing.
Yeah. So you actually became I didn't know this. So you became a consultant with, and your parents started Rev. So we've had this story here actually a couple of years ago now. It was a little while ago, but Kimball shared a little around that as well. And so you were a distributor with Rev growing up.
Yeah, that was, so I dabbled in it as a teenager.
Yes.
And that was, hey, good way to earn some pocket money here, John, go for it. And then when I was kind of launching my career,
yes,
graduated school and onto my career. So I wanted to get into sales management.
Yes.
I enjoyed the people side of the business, as I said. And it was one thing my dad really ingrained in me. He said, we might be able to, find a role for you here, but he said, if you really want to do that, you'll go and learn how to be a distributor. You'll learn how to sell, how to sponsor. You'll learn the ups and downs of the business. You'll learn how to build a team. So I did that and loved the experience.
Yep.
And did it till kind of I reached a point where Dad said, "Okay, you've got some really good couple of years behind you there." Yeah. I had some ups and I had some downs, which was all a learning experience. But that's when it then reached a point of, okay, great, let's go. You get it now.
So was it always a natural thing for you to stay in the direct selling industry, or did you sort of venture out? I mean, we've heard that you went into firefighting for a bit there, but did you sort of venture out and get pulled back in? Like what did that look like for you career-wise?
Yeah, it's a good question because I definitely obviously fell into it coming from the family that I've come from.
Yeah.
I did have some interest in other areas that so going into firefighting full time because I loved having that as a volunteer firefighter, and that had some appeal. But the more I thought about it, that would kind of tick some needs within myself. But coming into direct selling is such a rounded opportunity and experience. The relationship side, the coaching side, the business and strategy and creation side. There's so much depth to this industry, and I think that's what really pulled me to stay.
Yeah, and so I've got to ask, you've got family over here, still with Lorev, obviously, an amazing Australian direct selling company, and then you over here with Nuskin. How did that happen?
Okay, so that was again another interesting story. So. In the industry, we all kind of get to know each other, right?
Yes.
And we attend industry events together. We're friends with each other. I think on the distributor side, they sometimes falsely see each other as competitors, where it's like, hey, no, we're the same family here. Let's celebrate each other.
Yeah.
So we're doing that, and then the head of Nuskin was wanting to approach me, and funnily enough, they went to my dad for permission to approach me.
It's almost like a marriage, isn't it?
Honestly, like it's seriously.
May I
like
have permission to ask your son's hand in employment? Yeah.
Exactly. So they, Dad said, hey, of course he's my son. I love him. I want him to stay, but I'm never going to block him from whatever opportunities arise.
Yeah.
So that I'd kind of met with him for quite some time. Before taking that final plunge to come across to Nuskin where I am today. And it was really tough. Like, again, going back to the marriage thing, I felt like I was breaking up with my dad that day when I made the decision. Like, I was in tears. He was upset at the time, and so he wished me well and wanted nothing but success for me.
Yes.
But it was really tough.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really beautiful. I mean, it says so many things. It says a lot about the industry, and you've hit the nail on the head. One of the blessings I think we get is we get to go to the industry conferences and see the incredible relationship between the companies, and I think that's something a lot of distributors don't get to see. And they do often make the assumption that we're all competing, but what they don't see is, it's probably the word itself has got quite a negative connotation to it, but I'm going to say it anyway because I feel like it indicates just how connected everyone is. We often joke at the conferences about how incestuous the industry is because every year you go to the conference, it's all the same people, but many of them are in different roles. They've just moved around. And everyone loves each other. Everyone gets along. And everyone, calls each other as well. When a company, we've recently seen a few companies, you and I were joking about the fact that when someone is what we call in the wind, so there's someone who's companies shut down or changed operations, and you've got the beautiful corporates that are very skilled people looking for roles. It's all of the people in the industry helping them and trying to replace them, so it is a really beautiful thing. But the other thing I was going to say to you is, I think it's really amazing that you've got that incredible family relationship, and that's something very special that I think a lot of people don't have. And your family, I am in absolute awe of, because it's not like almost every family member you guys talk about is somewhere in the industry somehow. And I've even interviewed
So true.
Jacob on this podcast,
Oh,
who,
wow.
yeah, so, it's just, I think your family is one of those very special ones that is so beautifully tight knit, but also so supportive of one another. So I think that's just really beautiful that you were able to have that relationship with your dad, where he wanted you in his business, but he also was able to bless and release as well at the same time. So I think that's
Yeah,
really
that's it.
awesome.
That's it. And obviously, we're a really tight knit family. So
Yes.
it's recently is just Friday. I caught up with Kimball and Dad, and worked on some strategy things with them to kind of because I'm there cheering on the sides, and I learn a bit from a different perspective. And
Yes.
so we it's been a blessing, and I owe and I think we're going to dive into some leadership discussion on this.
Yes,
But
as my next question is valid.
everything I know, like my foundation is all thanks to parents that really focused on raising us on principles and with that education. So that's I owe everything to that.
Well, I mean, that's really beautiful and a perfect segue, because my next question was, given your upbringing and the very unique upbringing and experience and skill set that you have, how has that impacted your leadership approach as you've gone into the general manager role with Nuskin?
Yeah, it's and maybe even getting a bit vulnerable with you here. Like part of that decision to leave Larev and come to Nuskin was actually like an inner battle that I had with myself on putting myself as the younger brother or and again, Dad and Kimball did nothing to foster that at all. But within myself,
yes,
I kind of felt like that was me, and there was this huge gap between me and them, and so coming out to kind of have my own independent journey and story was part of that internal drive.
Yep.
But I think that actually just helped me again, though. I came into Nuskin as head of sales, not directly to GM.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things for me was just, I came in and it was this real humility of, okay, how can I learn? I'm here to listen, learn, observe. And that to me was a really good platform for leadership. Because the first key was to listen. And okay, I'm just here. How can I support and serve as best I can? I just spent time focusing on people, building relationships, but knowing that, and I'm really big on this, we don't have all of the answers to all of our distributors' unique problems. Like, yes, we've got a lot of experience in seeing a lot of people face maybe similar things.
Yeah.
But we're here to learn and partner together.
Mm.
So I think that viewpoint has really led to a really healthy partnership.
Yeah.
And there's been times since being GM, we've had an amazing growth run at Nuskin. So I've been here about 10 years, and most of those we've had tremendous growth. And there were times where I, again, being vulnerable, made the mistake to say, no, this is my way, let's do it, we're going to grow.
Yeah.
And sure, we got some short-term wins there, but anytime you're not just totally aligned with your leadership, and coming along that journey together, collaborating, aligning, that to me is the key to leadership. It's we're imperfect, but we're here to learn. We're hungry to get better. What are you seeing? What are you hearing right now? What are you facing? Great. How can we build and grow together, given what you're facing?
Yeah.
Really, that's been a driving force to my leadership, and I think a humility, openness, transparency at all times is such a strength to leadership.
Yeah.
So always, being open, being vulnerable, but and then driving forward with confidence in the strategies you co-create together.
Yeah. Let's I want to talk about that for a little minute, because I think there's a real misperception around leadership and what leadership is. And I think there's a lot of people that assume, number one, I'm not a leader because I don't know enough, I'm not skilled enough. I just wanted to speak into that for a little moment and get your take on it, because I know you've come into the role that you're with where, you know, you were primarily learning as fast as you were leading. And that was part of the leadership style, as you've mentioned, that you had, was how do we learn and collaborate? You know, what would you say are some of the key skills to becoming a leader when you feel unqualified, or some of the things that people can do or need to know maybe about what leadership really is?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is don't get in your own way, like mentally. Stand up. And I'd say this to anyone listening to this, like anyone tuning in, I don't care, experienced, inexperienced, whatever it is, but you 100% have the skills of leadership within you, right?
Yeah.
And even if you're not perfect, even if you don't know everything, but hey, could you help one person? Then great, you're a leader. So hone in on that. What's the skills that could help one person? And again, like, you might be day one on your direct selling journey, but I'm sure your life has given you some skills, whether it's, a loving approach, a leadership approach, a storytelling approach, hey, I'm good at building other people up. That's leadership. A good collaborator. That's leadership. So I'd really say it's one of the biggest shames that you see people beat themselves up into, oh, no, that's not me. Oh, I'll clap for those guys on stage, but no, that would never be me. It really is just, the blessing of seeing and getting to know all of the top leaders internationally at Nuskin. None of them have a thing in common. There's no personality profile. There's no, they meet the mold and that's why they're a leader.
Yeah.
It's literally just they haven't given up. That's the one thing they all have in common. So, develop your own path and story as a leader, but just have some self-belief that, okay, I could help one person. If you can help one person, you can help 1,000. Because, you then just magnify and expand as you go.
Yeah, I love that. That's really powerful and so true. And let's talk about the vulnerability side of things, because you made mention that vulnerability is important, and you've also shared just a couple of things that, are you sharing the truth and of where you were at when you made those decisions to shift out into the career that you have now. But what does being vulnerable look like as a leader? Because again, I think there's this perception that if I'm going to lead, I have to be super strong, therefore I can't show any weakness. But there's also difference between vulnerability and negativity. So what would you say vulnerability looks like as a leader?
Yeah, great question. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Vulnerable, like, I can be vulnerable, but still optimistic and lean in with the skills I do have.
Yeah.
And to me, being vulnerable builds trust, because if I'm vulnerable, I'm being real here. I'm not going to make up deficiencies and tell you just try when you're like, it's legit, right?
Yeah.
So I think, being authentic, that really helps. Take that on, but it's okay to be vulnerable. Okay, I don't know the answer here. Let's explore it together. Let's sit and brainstorm. Let's do some research. Let's look at best practice. Listen to a podcast. So I think the vulnerability actually leads to growth, and those who think they always know the answers and are afraid to be vulnerable are the ones that miss out on the brainstorming, the education, the learning, So I actually think it's critical to that growth. We talk about growth mindset. Just, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have vulnerabilities, but what can I learn? How can I grow?
Yeah. I love that. And one of the things that Nuskin is known for, of course, is its strong culture and values. And, I've had the honor and privilege of speaking for your Australian conference and getting to know a lot of those distributors. And it's one of the things that stood out to me was, number one, the longevity and how long many of these people have been in the company for. But it's like they've all created their own, many cases, mini cultures within their teams. It's like a family, but they had very much so established the values and culture that I think, for it to be done so well has to come from the top. It's got to be something that filters down. How do you foster a culture of integrity and innovation, which is something that Nuskin is also very known for? You guys have won lots of awards for the innovation that you guys have with some of your devices, which I'm sure you'll tell us about shortly as well. But how do you foster a culture of that integrity and while also being innovative as well, all at the same time?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think the same theme kind of flows from question to question. What we're talking about here, right? A good interviewer does that. but so because looking at innovation again, it comes from a frame of mind, a mindset of, hey, how can I learn and grow from everyone here?
Yeah.
And Nuskin's culture is very much, we see ourselves as an opportunity for all. And if you really think about that, like, what does opportunity for all mean? It means we are open to, like, if you look totally different to us in what you think leadership is and how you want to run your business, great. We welcome it. Just follow the rules. That's kind of the only foundation.
Yeah.
And, be a good person, but great, let's go. So I think giving everyone space to do things their way is key.
Mm-hmm.
If people come in with different ideas to us, we don't say, no, this is the Nuskin way. You have to do the business this way.
Yeah.
It's, hey, great. That's something new, something different. Go for it. We can't wait to learn from you. And I think, again, I'll relate it back to, if you're tuning into this and you're a distributor, you've got your own team, you need to foster the differences in your team.
Mm.
So if someone's a bit different and maybe as a leader, you think, oh, that person really pushes my buttons. Just think like, okay, it's a different perspective and how fantastic. Let's celebrate this, that I get a different point of view that can help me expand my point of view.
Yep.
So I think that innovation is really key. And that actually then leads to, I think the other word you used was integrity.
Yeah.
When I take that approach, it gives me integrity as a leader because I'm not a dictator. I'm hey, great. I'll celebrate our differences here.
Yeah.
But Nuskin, we're so driven on innovation. And that does come from the top. Our CEO, Ryan Napisky, and all of our executive committee, that they celebrate innovation. We expect all of our employees to innovate. So it's not just, hey, it flows from top down, but it's, hey, how can we improve? What ideas do you have? How can we brainstorm here? And most of the brilliant ideas that we've executed on have come from really random ideas from different staff members.
Yep.
You hear that different point of view, and then, okay, it might not work exactly the way you've said it, but that triggers this point, and we combine our wisdom experience with your thought, and there's the genesis of something amazing.
Yeah.
So I think fostering that culture leads to innovation, and then you've got people who feel listened to, people who feel they're contributing, people who feel valued.
Mm-hmm.
So then that leads to that loyalty and longevity as well. So I really think everything we've spoken about so far is just all intertwined into how you foster that leadership.
So tell me about from a corporate level. I mean, it sounds like you guys, it's not just the distributors that you're working with that you're really fostering that leadership in and within, but it's also with your corporate team. And what does that look like? Do you guys have, some think tanks, like roundtables? Do you have specific days where people swap roles? Like, what do you guys do in your corporate head office to really foster that leadership and that innovation that you spoke about?
Yeah, it's exactly that. And this is just my approach to it, but we absolutely do a think tank. My method is give everyone a big stack of Post-it notes, and so we kind of go through a few rounds. It's a bit of an iterative process.
Yeah.
Where round one, you just write down everything you can possibly think of. Like it is quantity, not quality.
Yep.
And I think that's the key to innovation. It is, when you put the brakes of quality on your brainstorming,
yep,
which is I think what we, human nature tends to do that. Oh, I won't write that because that sounds silly.
Yes.
I don't want to. That'll be embarrassing.
That might not work. Yeah.
Exactly. So take those breaks off and free the mind to think, anything that comes to my mind, I'm just going to write, no matter how silly it is.
And is this about change, or is this about new ideas, or a combination of everything?
Everything. And nothing is off limits. Yep. Even, like I learn a lot. Yeah, I learn a lot from those sessions.
Yes.
Because you'll read into it and like, I could tweak what I'm doing based on that input I just gathered here. Yeah. But you're going to go through that before you then put the brakes of, okay, now what could we realistically do here?
Yeah.
But again, so often it's an out there idea that triggers another idea that ends up being, a real winner.
I love this approach. I kind of want to unpack a little bit because I feel like this is something that almost anyone can do. And we talk a little bit about doing these sorts of approaches inside of our Rise Up Inner Circle, which is a group of business builders that we mentor a couple of times a week. And within this group, we get them to think literally when they're setting their goals about all of the different crazy ways that goal could be achieved. And the idea is, the bigger the better, the more ideas the better. It doesn't matter if they're realistic. It doesn't matter if they're crazy. Like if your goal is lose weight, throw every crazy idea at it that you can, because then you narrow it down. But sometimes it's that like you said, that one thing that you go, that does sound ridiculous until I stop and think about, maybe there's an element to it that won't work, but there are some elements to that idea that actually could work. And why don't we give that a go? And that could be the thing that totally tips the scale.
Yeah, so true.
But I just want to talk about how you guys do this because I'm fascinated. So you give everyone Post-its and you basically say to them, stick them on the wall? How do you do this process?
Yeah, so they all get up and pitch. So we have 5 minutes. They all write it down. Then at the end, when time's up, one by one, they get up and pitch their ideas. But kind of rapid fire. It's like,
so they might have like 10 ideas, like, we need like a new vending machine in the lunchroom.
Yes.
We're going to bring a new product in. We can do this.
Yeah. And they can be like, and we laugh at some of them as a cohort together of like, oh, what a good idea. Oh, yes, that's crazy. I love it.
We should dress up as superheroes every Wednesday.
Yeah. Yes. And it's almost, you celebrate, like the quirkier the idea, the more you celebrate it. Because, that is brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
And that fosters trust and, safe space and, again, integrity to the process.
By the way, I do think you should do Superhero Wednesdays. But
yes.
Next time you have this session with everyone, can you just throw an idea in the ring for me? And it's
I'll just rock up in Lycra.
Yeah, Clark Kent. I think you actually were Clark Kent at the time. You had.
Yeah, I do remember.
Yes,
I do remember.
And there was, I don't know if there was something underneath the suit, but
yes,
you'd spray painted your hair brown or black or something.
And we're all in. We're all in.
There was.
That's for sure. We're all in on whatever the idea.
So I just want to throw out there, just sort of, I'm very distracted by the superhero thing, but just come back to this idea. I think there's something in this because what I think a lot of leaders don't do. And by the way, if you're thinking, oh, well, I'm going to tune out now because I'm not a leader, I absolutely, if you're thinking that specifically I want you to lean in because sometimes the very thing that we're avoiding, actually, we had a guest on our podcast, a good friend of mine, Keith Abraham. Actually, I think Keith was speaking at the same event.
I've worked with Keith. Yeah, great man.
Right. And he said that the magic you're seeking is often in the work you're avoiding. And I love that so much. So if you're like tuning out a bit here because you're like, I'm not a leader and I don't think I can be a leader, and maybe you don't even think you want to be a leader, it's probably the very thing that you are supposed to be doing and leaning into right now. But I think there's a lot in this because sometimes as leaders, I think we have to come up with all the ideas and we have to drive the ideas. One of the things that I find particularly in amongst my team here even is that when everyone feels like they own the ideas, like everyone is bringing them to the table and they're part of that. And it's something, we often speak to corporates about when we come to speak at an event. I'll say, come in and teach this and this and this. I'm like, first, can we pull all your leaders into a call because they're more likely to listen and pay attention and get the growth and the opportunity out of it if they feel like they've been a part of it. So I think, is this something that you've ever encouraged even your leaders in the company to do, that brainstorming style of process with their teams, and involve their teams in the growth of the business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the key, like, you want everyone to feel some sense of contribution and ownership.
Yes.
And even if you did this for, okay, we run a training call once a week.
Yep.
Hey, let's spend 5 minutes. Let's brainstorm how to make this training more engaging or effective or productive. And I think the key is, and for us when we do this, it's okay, like, we have to change what we're doing based on some of this. Like, if we ignore everything we just came up with, then we'll quickly lose the people.
Yes.
But even if we just pick one or two things that do get implemented, they'll all feel, we created that. And
that's right. It doesn't mean everything has to happen. It's about involvement, right?
Yeah. So I think distributors tuning into this, you could do this on any topic, on any area of the business, but the engagement you can gather from your team on, like, co-create, let them feel ownership. It just leads to loyalty, higher engagement. It fosters more creativity. It fosters more excitement and energy into the business. So I think it's just such a simple thing that anyone can do.
Yeah. Let's expand that a little bit further. Is this something that you've ever done? Because I'm just thinking this is also a powerful thing if you were to expand through to customers. So some people might be thinking, well, I don't have a team. But your customers essentially are a part of your team. They're a part of what makes your business run. Have you ever, expanded the business brainstorming opportunity through to customers?
I personally haven't, and I am going to ponder more on that one, see how I can make that happen. I know
tank right
I know at global levels they do your CX research and come out with all the dashboards and look at the CX journey mapping and whatnot. But hearing that input from customers, that would be fascinating.
I'm getting even more simple here though. I'm thinking, let's just say you've got a team and you're trying to grow your team, and right now maybe you don't have a lot of people within your team, but you're wondering, how can I develop a better business? How can I create a better culture? How can I promote my products in a way that's suitable? One of the things we encourage people to do is throw questions out on social media, ask people what they think. And I just think that there could be people, by the way, love giving opinions. It's just when you ask people for their opinion, you just watch them come flooding on in. But it also creates a lot of curiosity and intrigue. And I think if you're asking, I remember saying to Greg a few years ago, this podcast has been going for, it's about 4.5 years now. I can't believe that we've been doing this for this long. We might be, by the time this comes out, up to close to 240 episodes.
Wow.
But one of the things I said to him was, who should I get on the podcast? Like, I'm always aspiring to, like, I've got Matthew McConaughey on my list. A lot of our internal people know I've been working hard on him for a number of years now. I've worked out what his favorite bourbon is, and I've been dangling that carrot every time I'm in Texas.
Right.
Yeah, I know. And by the way, I think I might have an issue if I ever do get him on the podcast, because I'll have like about 50 people jammed under the desk here wanting to listen in. But Greg looked at me and he said, well, if you're wondering who to get on the podcast, why don't you, he did what I would do. He coached me. He goes, what would you tell one of your customers asking the same question? I said, I'd tell them to ask on social media. Like, it's a great engagement question. He goes, right, do that. So quickly put the question out, hey, if I were to get anyone on the podcast, who would you want to hear from? And of course got flooded with answers. But the thing about that is that it helps you learn about your audience too. And so, developing new product or coming up with some ideas on how to promote that product and all sorts of fun things around that, I feel like customers would love to have their say. And
your customers will tune in when, hey,
I feel part of it. Yeah. Yeah, I was part of that. So there you go. Throw that into the think tank as well.
I will. Take note.
But I think if you're listening to this as well, there's a lot to involving people. But I just want to ask as well, when it comes to leading, one of the things with leading teams specifically is that it's also about inspiring and motivating people to achieve their goals. But I think there can be this real challenge between pushing people towards something that they're not motivated by, or working out how to motivate and inspire somebody to achieve their goals. Do you have any kind of secret sauce here to help people lead rather than drag?
Yeah, I think reflecting on that, I feel like in my mind there's kind of one universal answer that is common, but we often downplay it because we say it so often, but finding your why.
Yeah.
And I'll talk on that briefly and then kind of expand a little bit on other thoughts on that. But yeah, it was kind of interesting, anytime I'd be working with a leader and, I might even talk to dad and, this one amazing leader that they've just, dropped off a bit. And I remember the first time I spoke to him, he was like, they've lost their vision, they've lost their why. And that always rings in my head every time I see someone in this scenario now. Like, it is the one part, if you're trying to motivate someone, if they don't have a clear, like really clear visualization and picture of what that is, it's really hard to get much from them because it's, why would I bother? And I think, and don't feel like I'm pointing this at you, listener, distributors out there listening, but saying, my family's my why, that to me is not a clear why. Like, what does that mean? That's vague. So I feel like we need a really specific, I'm doing it so I can do X for my family. Like, what is it about your family? What's the life you're trying to create for your family? What's the difference that you're trying to build and drive? So only when you have identified something that makes you like 10 out of 10 excited for that vision you can picture, then you've found your why. If you just say, my family's my why, great, let's move on, it doesn't cut it. And it's probably not making you 10 out of 10 excited to when you're getting rejected in the business to keep rolling with the punches. That's and get up. You need
it to be.
You need that driving force, right? So to me, as a leader, we can do that as a group. You can do that in a group setting, kind of working through and workshopping, identifying and finding your why. But to me, it's such a critical one-on-one conversation. That, okay, tell me about it. Let's unpack it together. Paint the picture. Can you visualize what it looks like when you've achieved your why? Out of 10, how excited are you to when you picture that? And then from there, if you establish the why is there, the motivation follows, right? And then, once you've got that, that's the universal part. And you've seen, Nuskin, we do this. I'm sure you've seen this at whatever company you work with. But then there's storytelling, there's recognition, there's we dangle some really nice carrots that all designed just to help you focus on growth, right? And that all motivates, but finding the why, that to me is the one baseline that you have to have.
And Dean Graziosi talks about the 7 steps to why, and I think that's a really easy way of looking at it too. And usually when you ask someone for the first time what their why is, they give you like the money or the family or whatever it might be. And that is a part of it, but it's digging down to what really matters to you in here. And it can't be anyone else's why. And I think this is the key too, to remember that when a lot of people come into the business, initially their values are often formed on what they feel other people believe their values should be. Their why is formed on what they believe they should be doing. I should be earning this income. I should be driving a better car. This should happen for my family. And that stuff is important, but it's not going to drive you, like you said, John, when things get tough. You need something that like gets you really going in here. And so he talks about asking yourself the question 7 times. And when you get to the 7th time, you'll be on something pretty gutsy, pretty integral, something that's going to be, you know, important in your heart space. So, you know, if you're saying to earn more money for my family, why is that important to you? Answer that. Then why is that important? Then answer that.
Nice.
Why is that important? When you've asked it 7 times, you should be at a pretty core reason why. The other thing I noticed, and I've been through this exercise many times with many incredible people, Keith being one of them, is usually when you get to your real why, you feel a bit emotional. You get a bit teary. You sort of feel a bit of a pull on the heart. Like you're like, this is it. Like, this is my why. And it may be, I've done this exercise with people before, I'm sure you have too, where you actually see someone physically change when they get clear on it. And you can do this with anyone, right? It's not, you know, like if you're leading, one of the things you could do is just ask someone the question 7 times. Just go, let me help you find your why so that I can make sure I'm really helping you get that. Because if it's important to you, it's important to me. That's leadership. So yeah, like I think that's I don't think you should downplay the why. I think that's critically important. And I'm going to be really honest with you. I think I would have quit running a business probably 8 or 9 times by now if I didn't have a strong why, because man, is hard work.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it is tough.
Let's talk technology and innovation. Nuskin is so well known for its technology and innovation within its products. Do you want to share with us a little bit about how and why? Like, how do you guys stay so innovative? Because many companies in the skincare beauty space tend to stick to, you know, the standard old everyday products that everyone knows, but you guys have gone, let's go do something different. And you've been doing this for a long time. What does that look? How does that keep happening? And, you know, and you guys have won so many awards as well for some of your innovation.
We really do thrive on innovation.
Yeah.
And can I say it's actually, you know, almost to a fault at how much we love innovation. Because if you look at Nuskin's product lineup,
yeah,
any one of those on their own, like we've probably got 30 to 40 products that individually
our flagships, all on their
$1 billion brands, like on their own.
Yeah.
But then, you know, because we've got the next wave of innovation coming, we so easily think, oh, wow, this is so amazing. Okay, great. Now what's next?
Yeah. How do you stop shiny object syndrome happening?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We do. And this is the part that I love. Yeah. And I'll almost bring it back to the brainstorming session. You know, if you focus on, okay, what products can we create for our existing market?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's kind of a, you know, we're in the same zone, but, you know, we can expand a little. Versus, okay, there's a totally new space out there that we can go after.
Yeah.
And I think Nuskin's innovation really addresses both of those brilliantly. Like we've got our core, you know, beauty and wellness is our thing.
Yes.
And that's huge, right? Like beauty and wellness, that could go anywhere, and it's head to toe, inside, outside of the body.
Yeah.
But the drive for innovation, we've got, we are really blessed to have, you know, being a massive multinational company, we've got resources to have a huge scientific team.
Yeah.
So I do feel we're really blessed and spoiled to have that.
Yeah.
But it is still a mindset. And even, you know, if you're tuning in part of a smaller company, you know, which has its upsides, and, you know, again, I'll never say a bad word about anyone in the direct selling family, right? But I think there's always that opportunity, and there's hunger in Nuskin to make sure we're an opportunity for all. And any product that can either provide greater solutions to our existing family, mm-hmm. or totally widen the channel, and hey, if we tap into this whole new field, that there's some synergies there, but it's a whole new field that we can go down. Yeah. We're really open and hungry to do that.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, there's the product innovation side, but then there's the leadership side, and yeah, our sales leaders need to be really wise in how they direct and steer their business.
Yep.
And I think the key for innovation, again, it's okay for the, we'll say leader, even though we know there's lots of leaders within every group. It's okay for the leader not to be an expert in every area of the business. So we've got a new product coming out soon. It's called Mind 360, which is mental health and mental wellness nutrition, with lots of research on how different supplementation can really aid in different areas of mental wellness.
Yep.
So I'd call that a new area for Nuskin, huge area. It's top of mind for everyone in society today. So it's okay for a leader not to be an expert in that field because, hey, I'm an expert in skincare or whatever it may be. But a leader then carves out a space to say, great, well, I'm not going to be the person to hit a home run with this product, but who my team is. Who do I have in my network that knows a bit about mental wellness, knows a bit about nutrition, that can really take this on and then charge and we all win together. And if I don't have them, how can I go and find one person who could be that person to really help us go? So I think for anyone tuning in, for any innovation you're fed, think, okay, either am I going to run with it or can I find someone in my team to run with it? And if you're in a position where you can influence that innovation, think, how do I better serve our family? What's a product idea that we can really bless people's lives with? Or what's a whole new area that there's some synergies there that we can go into? So Nuskin's hunger for that is strong, and our leadership are very strong to then make it a successful launch.
Yeah, and that you sort of inadvertently answered the question I was going to ask there, which is how do you successfully launch new products consistently? But it sounds like you absolutely have a process of leading the leaders to also be leaders. So the leader, it all comes back to leadership, right? You don't have to specialize in, and I think this is the key. You've said something really powerful here. I often will hear from distributors who will say, I don't feel like I know that product inside and outside yet, so I can't talk about it, I can't promote it, I can't sell it. Or we've got so many things in our range and I'm new to the business and I don't know all of the things, and so I just feel like I can't really launch my business yet because I can't talk about everything. And I often will say to people, like, if you're going to do a demonstration or you're going to talk to somebody, pick 5 products, even 3 products that you are passionate about, that you love, that you don't have to know everything about them. Because one of the things you said before, which is very important, is vulnerability. If someone says or asks a question you don't know the answer to, the best thing you could do, right, is say, actually, I'm not sure on the answer to that question. Let me go find out and I'll come back to you. Because that says to somebody that you're not going to make stuff up just to make a sale. But picking some products that you're going to lead with, and it doesn't mean, and we'll often say to people doing a party or a demonstration, have all your products sitting there. So if someone asks, oh, do you have a serum or something? You can go, actually, we do. But you've got your flagship things that you feel comfortable with. But I think it's important to lead other people to find what their things are going to be, not your things have to be my things, or we have to know everything. And so I think one of the keys here to being a great leader and growing a great business is you don't have to know it all. In fact, it's better if you don't, because you're more likely to learn, right?
Yeah. And even, again, I'll drill down at a distributor level. If you know every answer to every question, it is going to be so hard to sponsor that person because they'll say, oh, I could never be like Sam.
Yeah,
the amount of knowledge she has, the amount. So I actually would give the advice, like, even when you know the answer to every question, show there's a couple, like, almost pretend you don't know the answer to a couple. Just to show some form of, like, hey, anyone can do this business. I don't know, but I've got resources to find out. So I think,
I think that's the key as well. You said something really important. I have the resources. We have the resources. We have the support. We have the ability to get what we need, but I don't have to be perfect and the expert. Like, I've got to show up just as I am. but whatever I do need, the resources there. And I think
Yes.
that's the key as well to an amazing direct selling company, is that you provide those resources so that people can access them when and if they need them.
Yeah. One of the best parts of our business model, like you've got the support.
And you know, that's one thing about the direct selling industry that it gets me super excited, is there's more learning and professional and personal development in this industry than any other industry out there. And you know, the amount of people that have become highly successful people in lots of other spaces, in lots of other industries, they often will say, you'll often get talking to them, they'll go, I learned that from direct selling. I had a direct selling business. This is how I got to where I am. Not to say that, you know, you're not going to stay in this industry and do incredible things in it. But what I'm saying is that this industry has equipped many of the most powerful people on this planet because of what it offers, and the skill set that it gives.
So true.
I just want to quickly touch on, we've talked about innovation product wise. Oh, by the way, just quickly, do you want to just share a couple of, I know that you've got a couple of your amazing innovations there. You happen to have them handy because we were talking about this before we jumped onto the recording, but it was one of the things I found really fascinating about Nuskin was you guys had moved into devices. And again, you guys have won so many awards, but you've got a device there that I haven't seen before.
Yeah, the one, so Sam and I were having a little chat here. So we've got our LumiSpa IO, which we have had this for a little while, and I know, Sam, you mentioned you've definitely seen this one.
I've seen that one. I know that one. And that one actually, I think I've even seen it on like Sunrise or something. Like,
this one
had a lot of publicity.
Every time I catch a plane, you talk to me, oh, what do you do? When I say Nuskin, like pre-Lumi, it was like, oh, is that Nuskin? I kind of heard of it. Since Lumi, everyone's like, oh yeah, the LumiSpa company. Like I actually get that quite a lot. So that one's really put us out there. But the WellSpa IO, this was our next development on our beauty and wellness devices.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool award. So Euromonitor have declared us the world's leading at-home beauty and wellness device brand. 6 years in a row now we're up to.
Wow.
But this one's great for, like, it'll help with, you know, muscle soreness, and also, so it's kind of the muscle side, and then there's the skin, you know, so the appearance of cellulite, firmness, tightness. So there's different topical treatments you put on, and then you work it in with the device. But amazing products.
And you guys, you just said that you guys are moving into as well the mental wellness space as well. So you're sort of adding to that. I guess the beauty and skincare side. What was that's it's not a crazy leap, but like it's a big shift for you guys. What was the thinking behind that?
Yeah, so like, again, beauty and wellness, that's our thing.
Yes.
So beauty, you know, the skincare side, and that is inside out, which we all know.
Yep.
You know, beauty is very much what you consume as much as what you put on your skin.
Yes.
But so Nuskin's about 50% skincare and about 50% nutritional supplements. So our supplement range is amazing. We've got some incredible innovations there.
Yeah.
But again, kind of going back to that innovation mapping, you know, mental wellness.
Yeah.
Is such, like, you could argue it's the biggest component of wellness. You know, if you're not mentally well. You know, I think I'd choose that before physical wellness even.
Yes.
So just, you know, it's such a key area. And interestingly, so Nuskin, our head office is in America. But it was interestingly a clinical psychologist and doctor from Perth, who's one of the world's leading experts on nutrition for mental health.
Yeah.
He actually conducted the clinical studies for us.
Wow.
And we're so excited about the results and impact that people are seeing from, like, be it sleep, that there's the ability to focus, overall feelings of well-being, you know, maybe, you know, fighting the anxieties and stress that we're all exposed to now, memory. So a lot of these core mental wellness function.
Yep.
There's a really clear link to, you know, certain supplements that really aid each of these areas. So we're really excited to get into that space, and you know, again, do a lot of good with
Yeah.
the products that we're coming up with.
Awesome. And so when is that all happening? This is coming soon?
Yeah, it is coming soon. So back to how we kind of work our launches. We give our leaders first access, so that they've got time to try it themselves. For them, their friends, their family.
Yeah.
So that's happening next month.
Wow. Okay.
And then we're launching early next year. So
Yes.
we kind of have a few months gap there, which is key to alignment with our top leaders.
Yep.
Again, they can learn. They can build up their own strategy on okay, how do we make this a really successful launch?
I love that. That's awesome.
But yeah, we're super excited for this.
Fantastic. And so let's talk a little bit about digital innovation for a moment, because you've had to innovate, product wise. And I think, every company is constantly looking at how they can do that. But how has Nuskin also adapted to the digital changes that have happened? What have you guys done differently to stay at the forefront of those changes over the last, let's say, 5 to 8 years?
Yeah, this one's massive right now. I know we're really getting into your specialty here, Sam. When it comes to the being connected, being social, having everything there ready for a digital opportunity. I think the critical piece I'd say first is that our business model in direct selling has been amazing for decades and decades and decades before digital was a thing. And I actually think like that core of who we are and where we're from has so much longevity.
Yeah.
But when you add digital, it just amplifies it, right? Yes. And that's the great thing about the modern world in all of the tools that we have. The opportunity is just as strong as it was 40 years ago now for Nuskin, but the digital tools we have, it's just an easier opportunity. And every discussion that we have is how do we make the opportunity simpler for the affiliate or distributor, and how do we make the experience simpler and more enriching for the customer?
Yep.
So I love that we've got tools. One of my favorite ones. So we've got the Nuskin app that we call Vera, Nuskin Vera. So anyone can download that and have a little play with it. But really cool. So you can take a selfie, input, answer a few really simple questions, and using AI, it then generates your product recommendation.
Wow, I love that. Okay,
so
that out.
So what I love about this, again, going back to the opportunity side, you don't need to be an expert in skincare because you can have, your expert is sitting on your phone here, right? Yeah. And so artificial intelligence, the way it, and that's looking at about 20,000 different inputs on that selfie that you've just taken.
Yep.
Coming back with, identifying, fine lines, wrinkles, pigmentation, whatever it is, putting together that little bundle for you.
Yep.
So there's tools like that. And if you could, again, how do you simplify the opportunity? How do you simplify the customer experience?
Yep.
If you, as a customer, can just click the link, take a selfie, get your output, click, purchase, done.
Yes.
Like I've got a very customized approach there.
Yep.
All thanks to digital tools.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool that anyone jumping in the Nuskin opportunity today has that on offer instantly.
Yep. So
that they're really leveraging.
That's amazing. So you guys have just literally put into people's pockets the ability to, and this is a tool, I'm assuming, that can be shared digitally so people can, that's amazing.
Yeah, and spot on.
Yeah. So utilizing AI, and this is something I want to be really clear about here. You kind of touched on this. You talked about amplifying what is special about this industry. I want to be really clear, guys, like digital marketing, social media, yes, this is what we do, but we do it because I'm so passionate about what this industry is, which is human to human connection. And you've just hit the nail on the head with that. The tools we have allow us to amplify that connection, something that other industries don't have. But as we see AI come into play, as we see more and more ability now with new unconnected distribution on social media, the ability to reach people we've never, ever, ever had the opportunity to connect with before, the one thing we've got to remember is these tools are designed and should be used to enhance you and bring out the best in you, not replace you.
Yeah.
And I think this is a presumption that a lot of people make when they're going to use these tools. I can just, ask ChatGPT to create all of my content for the next year on social media, and that's a good way of using this tool to save me time. The problem is that you're replacing you, and you're replacing what makes you special and unique. Your stories, your experience, your why, as we've talked about, your passion, your vulnerabilities, all of these are the things that really will take your business to and your leadership skills to another level. So I love that you guys have done that. You've gone, how do we use AI and this technology to enhance what we are and enhance our people? I think that's really special that you guys have got such a unique tool there available for your field.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And I think, like, when it comes to that social marketing side, almost overlay the same conversation we had on products.
Yes.
But to those platforms, like, if you don't know Instagram well, can I learn it? Yes, you can. And, there's some great help out there to be able to master that.
Yeah, we'll see if we can find you some.
But B, like, go find people who do know it and, hey, can you help me?
Yeah.
I've got this amazing business, but I'm not so good at Instagram. Can you join my team? Can you lead the charge on Instagram? Like, can you teach me how?
Yes.
So I think, because there'll always be another platform coming. That then TikTok comes along, and then I'm sure there's a lot you could rattle off that I don't even know the names to right now.
Yeah.
But I think everyone provides more opportunity to expand your influence.
Yeah.
So yeah, we absolutely embrace it, and how can we adapt our business so we don't lose who we are and what our foundation is?
Yeah.
But we use this to amplify.
So if I were to summarize a lot of this, I feel like, John, one of the things that you are saying about being successful in growing business and successful at being a leader is you actually don't need to be the expert in everything. In fact, almost anything. You just need to be constantly learning and adapting and apply your passion and your why to that. And I think if for any of our listeners right now, I think the key here is stop and think about what makes you you, because the parts of you that are fundamentally you, the parts of you that you're passionate about. I think a lot of people think that I have to be different to be successful. And that's the biggest mistake, the biggest lie, by the way, I think a lot of people tell themselves.
Yes.
Who you are is exactly who you need to be. And, when we try and mimic other people and try and be like other leaders, and I think one of the biggest things, like, I love seeing people get awards and walking across stage, but one of the biggest challenges with that is something you said earlier, which is some people might look at them and go, I'm not like that, therefore I can't be successful like that. And again, I think that that's a big lie we tell ourselves, and we need to move away from that thinking, because that person's on that person's path. You're on your path and your journey, and you've got people waiting for you to step up that need to be led by you because you're like them, not that person. Otherwise, they'd be following that person, right?
So true. So true. And you can be, again, this is the message, everyone listening, you can be the leader of your own team. Even if that team doesn't exist right now.
Yes.
You can build it one by one by one.
Yes.
Like, be someone that creates a team with an amazing culture that people want to be part of it.
Yeah.
And as you draw those people in, tap on this. Hey, great. You're good at Instagram. Amazing. You can lead that for our team. You're good at TikTok. Amazing. Let's go. Hey, you know a lot about the products. Fantastic. You can be our expert. Like, you can just draw people in if you are the leader that they want to be working with. That's and anyone can do that. Even if you're an introvert who hates public, like, whatever it is, you can build that one by one, and pretty quickly you'll realize how amazing a leader you are.
Yeah, so good. I love this. Okay, so this has officially become the leadership episode.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 fun questions for you, John, just before we wrap up. These are my favorite questions. This could go anywhere. I have seen it go literally in very crazy directions. So here's the first question. What is your favorite book for us to add to our Accelerator book list? There are no rules here, by the way, so it can be anything.
Okay, so I'm actually going to give you, I don't know if this is a boring answer. This kind of an obvious one. but Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
No, not a boring one. It's good. We're reinforcing a favorite. So
Playing
that's
the bat, a kind of a straight bat here. I was raised, this was like doctrine in our house.
Yes.
But like it's kind of a hard book to pick up and read. It's not like a quick, easy read. But if you can like just take it in bite-sized pieces, like if you can master habit 1, be proactive, man, that'll take you a long way towards life mastery. Like every habit, just take it slow and easy in the book. Watch some YouTube on each of the habits as you go to maybe help you. But
that's a good tip. I like that.
Work. I love his work.
I'm also a big fan of Audible because I feel like you can listen and re-listen in bite-sized pieces. And sometimes we've actually got a few people in our community, because we do have a book club, that listen and read simultaneously. So they have Audible going while they're reading the book. And they find that really helps as well, particularly with some of the more difficult reads. So give that a go. Okay. If these questions I've got to throw it out there. These questions are the same for every guest I have. But for you, this next one's a little funny. If you could have a superpower, what would it be? Any superpower, by the way.
Back to the superhero theme.
Yes. There is a theme running along here, I feel. No, any superpower.
Again, low-hanging fruit here, but teleportation would definitely be my easy choice.
I feel like it probably would for you now because, of course, you've taken on that new role in the Philippines. Yes. A lot of travel on your plate, so I can see why you would choose that one. I do have to laugh. I have had some hilarious responses. One of the more recent ones had my jaw hit the floor, where the beautiful Kenya Kelly said that she would have invisibility, and I asked her why, and she said so I could rob a bank and no one would know I'd done it. Duh. all the reasons.
I would actually go the other. Like I would be a vigilante with my teleportation skills. I
did have to laugh. Is, by the way, beautiful Kenya. We love her. She came in to talk about TikTok, but she is also a minister. So I thought that was hilarious. Okay, so your favorite quote.
Favorite quote. So this one was taught to me by my dad when I was I think I was 8 years old, and he had me memorize it when I was 8. So I actually can't even tell you who the author is, but it's that which you persist in doing becomes easier to do. Not that the nature of the task has changed, but your capacity to do it has increased.
Okay, so sorry, repeat that again because I almost interrupted you there.
That's okay. So that which you persist in doing becomes easier to do. Not that the nature of the task has changed, but your capacity to do it has increased.
I love that. That's really powerful. And I feel like even just getting you to memorize it was so almost with the quote itself.
I tell myself that, like, when I'm trying to do something and I'm getting frustrated that I can't do it, that which you persist in doing, that which you persist, like I got to just keep going.
Yes. So true. It's so true. And, we talk about this a little bit, if you think about the basics, you once upon a time, and I'm just watching my now almost 10-month-old daughter learning to walk, and she's pulling herself up on things. And every time she does it, she falls back down, and she pulls herself back up and she falls back down. But she doesn't fall down and go, okay, well, walking's not for me. I'm never going to walk. You didn't do that. I don't know any adult that ever went, you know what? I tried it 4 or 5 times. It didn't work. It was just too hard. I'm just going to get through life scooting around on my backside. Nobody does that. And, but then as we do things as an adult, it's not that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? It's that the old dog becomes a little bit more resistant to persisting with the tricks. So whereas a child doesn't have that failure mentality where they go, oh, I tried a few times, it didn't work. They're like, no, heck, I'm going to do this walking thing. Everyone around me is doing it. And so part of it, I think, is about the desire to do the thing that you want to do, because a kid wants to walk desperately because they want to get moving. How badly do you want it? But also, it's not that the task got easier, like you said. It's that you got better at it because you kept persisting at it.
Yes.
And so next time you're kind of thinking, is this a little bit too hard, basket? Ask yourself, how badly do I want it? But also, I didn't give up walking. I didn't give up learning to talk. Maybe I should keep trying at this too. And, so that's you with Instagram or Facebook or Facebook. I was going to say
Yeah.
TikTok, Facebook. That's the new combination. That's
The
the
next
new
one.
watch. New
The next
platform
one.
will be launched next week.
Yeah.
Facebook. All right, last question. If you could go back in time, John, and say one thing to your past self, what would that be?
I'd actually center it on that vulnerability piece. Just be you, and most people love you for it. If they don't, you don't need them in your life. But just own who you are with no apology, no hesitation, no shy. I was really naturally, I'm a really shy person. I've kind of had to learn to overcome that, which I'm still working on in some categories. But I think just be comfortable to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
would be my best advice.
I love that. Awesome. Well, look, John, thank you so much for joining me today. I think anyone listening to this hopefully has come away with a little bit more belief in their ability to lead for a start, maybe a few skills under their belt as well to, things to bring back. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of think tanks coming out of this, lots of Post-its being purchased from Officeworks, people getting stuck in. But thank you again so much. I really appreciate you taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to spend with us on the podcast. We really appreciate you. And we're super excited for what's to come next with Nuskin as well.
Thanks so much, Sam. I've loved the chat. It's been great catching up.
Awesome. And thanks, of course, to our beautiful listeners for tuning in again this week. If you've loved this episode or you've got maybe someone in your team who you think needs to be whispered to about their ability to lead, even if it's just one person, go ahead and share this episode. We'd love to spread the magic and the love. But thanks again so much for tuning in. Great to see you guys, and we'll see you on the podcast again next week. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.